We on poppin'. We on it poppin'. Who rockin'? Who stoppin'? Man, listen, this is another episode of Man, Listen, this free game, man. We got family in the building. We got the owner of Titletown Titans. We got the owner of Gatlin Mortuary.
Right.
We got a PYC legend in here.
Big facts.
Legendary at Austin Wildcat.
Big facts.
We got all that, man.
What's going
Go
on?
ahead and tell the people who you is, man. We got Mr. I'm gonna say your middle name too, cause I know you.
Don't say the middle name.
Let people know I know you. We got James Katron Gatlin.
What's going on, man?
You a junior?
Nah, I see you.
You see? What's good, man?
Man, that's just living.
Yeah. Man, listen, this is another episode of Man, Listen, this free game, man. We got family in the building. We got the owner of I'm glad we got you on here.
Glad to be here.
This is a very, very important interview. It was last episode we had time here. We was talking about trusting the process and
Yes, sir.
how people always try to just turn it down. Like we talking about how everybody want to get these quick licks. You got these get rich quick schemes out here, and we was talking about how it's important to trust the process.
Right.
So I think you're a very important example of trusting the process. So I want to start way back when we was kids. Right. 4th grade, I met you tight since 4th grade. So I want to talk about your life in like a chronological order. So I want you to just tell the people about your childhood and what it consisted of growing up.
Childhood consisted of when I met Tyson, we found out we were family. 4th grade, 5th grade, somewhere down the line. Went to WG Nunn, Pineville, whatever side we stayed on during that period, jail Newbern. Just ordinary kid, just raised on the south side, east side, just trying to make it, and just had a great childhood, mom and dad in my life. But we also had struggles, and we just learned to just face through that person. And had good people along the way to help me through, and hanging around good people. That was the best thing.
Now you was an athlete. You played a lot of sports. When did you start playing sports, and who were some of the people that influenced you along the way?
I started back in when it was Pineville days, PYC. I started out, at that time it wasn't, you can only start playing tackle football, I believe, like you was 7 years old. But I had Coach Eric Prime. We was down at Pineville one day, and I was only 5 years old, and my birthday was in October, and me and my cousins, we wanted to play some football. And my cousins, they was old enough to play, and he asked me how old I was. At this time I was 5, but I told him I was 6, about to turn 7. So it allowed me to play up with the older boys, but he didn't find out I was 5 years old until afterwards.
So you lied about your age and play with the big boys?
Lied about my age. I want to play football, man.
All right, so you mentioned your cousins. So who specifically was some of your cousins? So you gotta give them some shouts out too.
Right. My cousins at the Pineville day was Jarvis Stewart, Fred Stewart. Fred, at that time, Fred was, everybody knew Fred from right outside as one of the best running backs to come through. But at this time when we played, Fred played offensive line, and Fred wasn't that good.
Fred played offensive line?
Fred played offensive line.
That's one I would never get. That's a first. That's a first.
Shout out Fred.
Fred Stewart is great. I never knew he was on the O-line.
Nah, Fred started on the O-line. He wasn't that coordinated.
All right, so we was talking about support. Like
Yes,
we were talking about the kids right now. I know you, with you being the owner of Titletown Titans. We were talking about how important support is. So talk about when you play the sports. Talk about your support system.
The support system it consisted of, first it started out with Eric Prime. One for Eric Prime to this day. I know I wouldn't be who I am. My mom and my dad, it was also big in my life, and like I said, they made sure I wasn't hanging around the wrong people or anything like that. But Eric Prime, at this time, we stayed on the south side, so we didn't have no car. So Eric would literally pick up 5, 6 kids, drop off them to practice, come back and pick up another 5 or 6. So it just, that was very big to me to have him and just to pour into me at that age. And I didn't even realize, like, he'll come and pick us up from off the south side and drop us off, and then sometimes he'll pick us up, we'll ride out. At the time, we thought we was going out of town, we rode out to Bemis. So we thought we was leaving the city of Valdosta when we rode out there on Bemis, but not realizing it was still in Valdosta. But he just showed us a different side, and I think that was the biggest escape outside of Valdosta, just to, ride to Tifton and go play in the Turkey Bowl or ride the
Turkey Bowl. Yeah. Shout out Coach Eric, you talking about riding in the back of that black truck.
Black truck. First started out with a little Honda. He had a little music in the back, so we in the back. Bass used to kill our backs, but we didn't care. We just wanted to go to practice.
Yeah, shout out Coach Eric.
Yeah, Coach Eric.
Yeah.
Definitely a pillar. I got a question, man. Like, but you running the Titletown Titan, were you playing for the Giants? Gave you the idea to come up with that?
Man, Pineville itself, playing for the Giants, we just want to reinvent the old Pineville, which the old Pineville stood for more than just football. It was coaches that really cared about you outside of football. I think that was the breakdown factor in a lot of things throughout Valdosta with football and youth, because back at the time when Valdosta was at its prime, you had Pineville, which had a strong feeder program, which fed into the Valdosta program. So now, with what we got going on, once everybody started buying in to trusting the process, which I like, that's our motto, that we trust the process.
Right.
If you can just trust the process from the kids just going, because at the end of the day, every coach out there, they love you regardless.
Right.
I mean, the whole goal, the whole job is to win. I don't care what nobody say. They can say, I just want my kid to have fun. But if I lost to Georgia, if you ain't winning, that ain't fun.
Yeah, so, you ain't lying about that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Pineville, that groomed you to do everything.
Right.
Because I noticed I came to a couple of y'all games, man, like, and when I was watching it, like, it looked just like the Giants. It just looked like they reinvented it. I'm telling you, like, how they move, the discipline from the players, like, and you can tell it's very
speed.
Coach. Right. And it ain't even the talent. The talent is great, but it's they discipline to be like 6 and 7. Like, they know they gap, they know this. Like, it's amazing, man.
And a lot of it is a lot of times people will think, from the 6-year-old division all the way through. I only coach one division, so a lot of that credit goes to the coaches buying into when we have our coaches meeting. Like, listen, our parents, I don't want them to just sign up and just pick grass. We come out here to play, to put in the work, because at the end of the day, it's football now, but this is life in 10 to 15 years. So we're just trying to groom young men, good men.
So let's talk about that, because I know you coached at Pineville first, correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, so you coached at Pineville. There's a difference between coaching the youth football team to going from coaching a youth football team to a youth Part 1 football league and being the owner of it. So talk about the process. Talk about the process of going from coaching just the football team to becoming the owner of the whole Part 1 program. Talk about that.
The process, man, is just how it started. I was 19 years old, first year out of high school. Had one child at the time. And my passion was, a lot of people didn't know this, but I started 2 years at Valdosta. I didn't get the opportunity to play college ball because I was in college credit courses, but I didn't do well on the SAT. So when I started coaching, my whole goal was like, we got to make sure these kids are academic prepared, because you can be the best. We got a lot of good talent walking around Valdosta that should have played on the next level, but when the only thing we thought about was high school, and that was it. But the whole goal was, at that time, at 19 years old, coaching at Pineville, I was like, these kids are the same. They the same kids that people looked at us when we was growing up. I mean, people didn't give us a chance. I was back then at jail, we had a little cornrows, 2 earrings in our ears, so everybody looked at us as we was thugs. And I realized we were really smart kids. That was just our image, So giving back to them kids, that was the biggest thing. Like, same thing Coach Eric did for us. I started picking up kids. I didn't, at that time, 19 years old, 1 kid and a wife. Shoot, I didn't have that much money, but I wanted to make sure them kids got a chance to get a different environment. The same thing that I knew changed me. Football, they did change me. just my mental mindset. And that's the process kept on going. And after 5 years of coaching at Pineville, we went to the Boys and Girls Club. We was known as the Little Cats at that time. Going to play against the Little Cats at this time, a lot of people knew Coach JB, Jared Brown. He was the dog. Like if you wanted to be the guy, you had to beat the Bulldogs.
Right.
So my challenge was, I'm going over the Boys and Girls Club. I want to beat the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
2 years at the Boys and Girls Club, we couldn't do nothing with the Bulldogs. JB had them prepared. Process continued after that. We finally knocked out the Bulldogs. So if you know me, like I'm very Tyson know this from a young boy. Like I ain't losing. You know, it's just
very competitive.
I just hate. I mean, if I get beat, I'm coming back again. But at that same time, it just taught me just to keep trusting the process, keep trusting the process. So after we conquered our goal at the Boys and Girls Club, I looked into like a league that I thought would be more beneficial for our kids,
right.
Because no knocks against other organizations or Parks Race or anything like that, but Pop Warner really requires you to show that report card. Like we can say all day, let little Johnny play, do this and that, but if you ain't passing in that classroom,
you gotta earn.
the Johnny can't play.
Yeah.
So that's why I really jumped into Pop Warner. It was a national organization. I was like, man, we need our kids exposed because good talent just walking around. But since that was when we started the Titletown Titans, and from the Titletown Titans, man, we was like in I want to say our 5th year, we were playing for a national title. So it just being competitive, just keep pushing and pushing our kids, and they feed off our energy, like the same energy that we have, our coaches have, our kids feed off of it.
Do you because you just mentioned report cards. We're gonna tell a story about how competitive we was. We was spending night until our 4th grade. He got the basketball hoop in the yard, and I'm a basketball player. I'm coming from the area where you talk trash back and forth. Don't couldn't stand it.
Right.
Don't cocky, he dunked on my head, let me tell you. He dunked me on my head a few times. He was cocky playing football. This is what they used to do. I win a basketball, know what they hit me with? Let's play football.
Yeah. They were basketball.
They were way more advanced than football. Them boys putting a licking on me. Right? But we even competed. Me and this dude even competed when it came to grades. So do you tell your athletes, your players, do you tell your players what type of student you were?
Right.
You talk about how you was dedicated also in the classroom. And how do they receive the information?
I tell them, I turned it into a joke, but I tell them the same story, how competitive it was. We was in the classroom, like, this dude was really, really smart. So I had to study.
That
man, listen, it's very smart. I had to study. We'll get in the classroom, like, I don't study hard, I'm finna beat Tyson grade. I get in the classroom, I made an 86. Don't study. He get in there, he get his paper back. 93, did you study? Nope. So we just pushed each other in that area. At that time, we didn't know we was pushing each other, but it just made us compete in the classroom. And that was like throughout my whole years of school, I never got wrote up. And I really take pride in that because that's hard, you know. I mean,
very much. Yeah. I think with seeing you be a coach and playing against you, I've been playing against you like Part 1, he played for the Giants, and like you always wanted to beat the Giants. I have a good game, they just had too many weapons. I hated them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the coach, everybody, why you want to play over here? But like, I always wanted to beat the Giants because they just beat everybody.
All-Stars, they were cheating.
Yeah. Oh man, listen,
they were cheating.
We had regular kids, man. Coach Harry just made us believe, man. Outside of football.
The one thing about Coach Harry I do is admire though, like him and like Coach Russell, like, and that's why I see with him with the Titans, man. Like it's bigger than football.
It's big.
And with the Titans, I see the Pineville, but I see it better. Like now with them traveling, their imagination can expand way beyond ours. I mean, we had All-Star. That's where it started.
Right.
But these kids playing they get national looked at early. So for somebody, and people might look at it as a coach, but when I look at y'all, I look at the bigger picture. That take unselfishness to put your life on. I ain't gonna say on hold, but like take that time out to give somebody else child a better chance. Like that go way beyond the football field.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so him doing that, that's what really made me like, golly, that's special, man. A lot of people look at it like he's just coaching. That's bigger than coaching. I mean, because we played at Pineville, and Pineville was great for what we had. Don't someone get me wrong, but like you say, Pineville don't stretch so far. These kids getting like they get looked at around the globe. You got social media, like, but that take effort to give somebody a solid better chance than what you had. Right. He doing that with kids that's not here, but them his kids. Like, so I so salute you what you doing, man.
Yeah,
for real.
Definitely. All right, talk about your boys.
My boys, I got an older son, which he's 20 now. That made me feel like I'm getting old. Which his name is James Jr. And I got Jordan, which is 17 years old. And James Jr., I had him, it was my freshman year of college. And literally, like, he made me become a man because I knew I had a responsibility. Like, and to this day, I mean, he's a good kid. I don't have to stay on him too much. I'm overprotected with my boys for the simple fact I know there's a lot out there, and you try to keep them on the right path. But at the end of the day, I was raised in the household was my mom and dad, they gave us freedom, but we had to make the right choice. Like,
I'm glad, yeah.
I'm big on that. Like, my kids, I don't say they're the best kids or they don't get in trouble. I just want them to make the right choice. Because at the end of the day, I can't be there. So when I turn my back, I just want to make the right choice. Because you all know, you're going to face that adversity. Like, you're going to face that challenge. You're going to face that peer pressure. But can you make the right choice? So that's what I pushed in them and I drive them.
Okay, that was a setup question. Setup question is, you coached your son, right?
Right.
So how is it coaching your son? Because I seen different documentaries with father coaching the son,
Right.
but you experienced it firsthand. So
Yeah.
how is it? Is it really hard, like having that relationship when it comes to Coach Gatlin, and then you also father Gatlin? So talk about the dynamics of that relationship, coaching the son.
It's two different phases because one my oldest son, I was the immature daddy. Right. Now I was the mature daddy with my youngest boy. So to say like my youngest son, my oldest boy, it was a challenge because I was still immature. I wanted him to be just like me. I wanted him to be competitive. I wanted him to,
Right.
But kids have a different temperament. Until I learned as an adult, like, you can lead people in the right direction, but it's up to them. Now, that woman became a better coach as coaching my youngest boy because I literally had to step back from coaching my youngest son, which Jordan played for me when he was like 11 years old, and that was it. But him and I, we had the same temperament. James was one of those type of kids where, like, I had to push him where at that time I thought I did.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But Jordan was what type of kid was, when he messed up, he was like, he knew he had to get it right. So you didn't really have to stay on him too much because he'll beat himself up mentally trying to be right. But it was that first year being the dad coaching, it was tough because I wanted James to be like, go to the NFL at 5 years old, you know what I mean? Because I was so immature.
So you kind of you seen you worked him, so you probably overworked him.
Yeah.
And you gotta think these kids raised different from when we was raised.
Right.
You as far as what you provide for them, how hard you work. So the work ethic is a little different. And it was always small, so we had to have heart. Like we had to have heart because we was little. So I think kids coming up right now, they don't understand like how much heart you had to have.
Right.
Like say you had your older cousins. I know they was pushing you, beating you to death, so you had to get right.
Right.
You coached against him one time, right?
Coached against
James.
Lil James?
Was that true? Was he going to one school? You was coaching at that school? Or
Well,
I'm getting it wrong.
That's right. Well, how the story went was at that time, I was coaching. He went to Valdosta Middle,
right?
But J.L. Newbern needed coaches, so I was like, listen, I don't put in my son, so I'd rather go help the kids at Newbern. So that's how we wound up coaching against each other. But it was fun because he went to Valdosta Middle, I went to Newbern. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he knew I still loved him, but he knew that right. And I think coaching is a ministry, man. It ain't just about calling plays, the wins and losses. Like, we're really trying to change their lives, like mentally. Like, man, you can do anything you want to do. You gotta if you push yourself and stop making excuses, you got it. So that's why I like. Coming from Newbern, you went to Newbern, you know what the challenge. Everybody, that's about you about so you don't understand that human life.
So let me ask you a question. Like, how important do you think you having both of your parents played into your role of you being that same kind of coach?
It was big because my mom, she was the type of mom, like my mom didn't work. She literally was that stay home mom, like would cook, didn't have to worry about no meal. Like I knew when I got home or whatever, it was there. And my dad was like a workaholic. My dad would literally wake up 5 o'clock in the morning, and I wouldn't see my daddy till probably come home from football practice. But we understood because I knew he was out there working.
You did the roles of your parents. Shout out to this one. She fed me on Fridays and Saturdays when I spent the night.
Yeah.
She made sure I ate.
Tyson was back and forth at out every weekend.
Every weekend she made sure I ate. Let's segue into the business side of things, the other business side of things, your funeral home.
Yes, sir.
How did you get into the funeral mortuary part of your life? How did that come about?
Yes, sir. Well, my wife was her name is Latasha. It's Gatlin, but she's Latasha Harrison. I met her back when I was in the 9th grade. She was in the 8th grade. But at this time, I didn't know that her dad was a funeral director or whatnot. And we hooked up and dated all the way through high school. And then later on, we had our child and got married. But how I got connected, because believe it or not, man, I was scared to walk into a funeral home. I mean, I didn't want to, I was scared for it. But my freshman year of college, I was at VSU, and I was working at Convergence at the time. And then I also helped out at the funeral home. Then I was like, it just grew on me, but like it's still, I think the biggest part, like my whole life been in ministry, not just in the church or nothing like that, but just ministry, just trying to, make people feel better. Mm-hmm. And then that career path, that's what it's about. Like, I mean, the funeral home, I know you all probably see like the sad part of it, but my goal is like, how can I put a smile on somebody's face when they don't lost something they really, really love,
That's big.
And that ministry part it makes me feel good after talking with a family, because, it's hard. It's hard to even talk about it, but to let a family vent out and just talk to them and don't have that creepy funeral home feeling like, I'm real just like you. I don't know your pain, but at the end of the day, what can I do to make this better right now? So that ministry part of it and then just being around people during that time, man, and just to see a smile like that warms my heart.
So you soaked up all that game and ended up. So how did you get your own? Like I know you started out with Harrington, right?
Right.
And then from Harrington, you got your own. So talk about that process from kind of working at a funeral home to becoming an owner. Same thing, like.
Right. And I think how did it happen? I think everything has its time. It's a season for everything. I always been the type of person where like I always try to better myself. And then I went through a really, really, really tough time. I mean, you knew my wife when she had breast cancer, and I can speak on it now, but at the time it was really, really hard to speak on it. But the hardest thing at that time was to work, and then we first got the diagnosis that she had breast cancer, and at that time I'm being honest, like I didn't have health insurance. I'm working, so I'm working on a salary. But when you get to the point in your life when the doctor tell you, okay, your wife got breast cancer, and you stuck because now financially, I'm not ready. I can't afford no doctor. So we had to really depend on the state to kick in and wait on them to approve her for her breast cancer insurance. So at that time, man, it crushed my heart as a man to like, dang, man, what if they don't approve me and I gotta watch my wife go through this, and I can't do nothing about it. So
scary.
That was the eye opener, and I said, man, Lord, if you could just get me through this, I'll never put myself back in this situation. And then it's just everything, man. It's really emotional topic to really talk about, but I think when you really trust God, man, like everything else will fall in place, because some things we don't see, but when we really open our eyes, it's right there in front of us. And how I became the owner of Gatlin Mortuary, man, like when I first stepped out, I had $0, and that's on everything. But there was a guy that my son and his son played baseball together, and he came to me, and he was like, you need your own funeral home. He didn't know what we was going through in our life at that time.
Right.
I went back to my wife. I said, and she going through the illnesses. I was like, this man came to me saying his wife said I need my own funeral home. She was like, nah. I was like, yeah, you're right. We can't do that, because at the time my father-in-law, he has a funeral home, and I said, no, I can't do that. And then it was probably about 3 months later, and things still was negative in our life. Something was going wrong in our life, and I was like, you know what? That was God, like, because for me to have $0 and somebody come to you and say, don't worry about the money, financial part of it, and then to see where we at now, I can't say it wasn't me, it was nobody but God. We just trusted Him during that process. But that's how I became the owner and just stepping out on faith, man, because at that time I couldn't even see where I was going, man. Like, we put a smile on our face and we walked around. A lot of people didn't know it, but only thing we were doing just walking by faith, because we didn't know where we were going. We just trusting God.
Y'all stuck together.
Yeah.
Praying, stuck together. And it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, October, with that pink.
Yeah,
I think I seen your wife today on Facebook. They wanted some breakfast or something.
She had a brunch. Her and her friends and her parent, her mom went, and her sister, they had a brunch. So she do it every October as a brunch.
She beat cancer, F cancer. Yeah, I always say F cancer. You know, I lost a brother to cancer.
Yeah.
As well. So, what are your goals moving forward? Because you kind of like me, like, we always been like these what's next dudes. Even if we don't reach the mountaintop right then, we always still searching for something else. So what do you see yourself doing? You got the funeral home, you got your Part 1 program. Like, what else? Are you working on anything, or do you foresee yourself doing something else?
Right now, I'm pretty settled down, because believe it or not, if I probably do one more thing, I can't remember my name at sometimes, because I got a lot on my plate. But right now, I'm just really just staying content with what I'm doing right now. Biggest thing is trying to build my business at Gatlin Mortuary, and also as far as my youth program, like, I never get out of that, because that's the ministry part. Those kids, even though we're coaching them, but they don't understand what they're doing for me in my life too. Just being out there, after being in the environment of the funeral industry and going out there with those kids and having fun, you know, cutting jokes, they don't realize that's my excitement part. I'm acting like a kid, like them, but they don't know what I don't deal with all that. So right now, my life is so balanced when it comes to that. Like, the funeral home industry being, you know, in the business and then going out there with those kids, I mean, it balances me out, because anybody that work in the funeral industry, man, you know, like, a lot of people see the pretty part of, like, you know, nice funeral, nice service. But at the end of the day, man, like, we literally have to make sure, like, our families, when I say our families, the deceased families, those are our families, because, like I said, my job is, man, look, I got to have mama looking good, you know.
And then you don't have a job without them, so you got to make sure you take care of their people.
I got a question about going back to the youth. What's the feedback from the parents, like, with your impact on their kids' lives? Man, especially the ones like that don't have both parents.
Right. For the most part, I would say 9 to 10. You got some parents, and that's, I preach to our parents all day long, is trust the process. Some people can't trust it because they can't see it.
Right.
Some people, when they trust it, they're like, man, you know what? I got a totally different kid from when he started. I said, if you see us getting on to him,
right.
It ain't that we don't like your kid. It's just that we see something that he don't see because we don't been down that road. But for the most part, I got some really good parents. Like, they understand, because I tell them, like, if LeJohnny ain't doing what he's supposed to do,
right,
I ain't sugarcoating. You know what I mean? I'd rather tell them the truth now than somebody lying to them and when they get to middle school or high school, and they're like, well, the coach told me, you know, I played quarterback. No, you're not a quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to put you in a position
to win.
Yeah, not to necessarily win, but to succeed.
Right.
Because if you can help your team, and that's just life. I mean, even in the business world, everybody ain't made to be the owner or the whatever.
Right.
Everybody has a part, man, and that's part of the process. And if everybody do their part in the process, everybody eat.
Yep.
And until we really can understand that, like, if the man up here eat, I'm eating. Now, if the man up here eat and I'm not eating, that's when the process is broke because he's not doing his job.
Right.
So it's a process, man. Like, that process is big. And matter of fact, our playoff jerseys on the back, we don't have names on our playoff jerseys because it's not about that one name. It's about that process.
Right.
So let me ask you something, cause, and I know I'm making a lot of people mad. They started giving out participation trophies, dog. Like, we never got participation trophies.
Nah, yeah, they earned it.
So do you believe it? I'm gonna ask you about, and man brought up a good question about the parents. Do you get flack from parents about their kids playing time for one? And then for number two, how do you feel about these participation trophies? Because in my opinion, that make these kids feel like they can just participate, not work hard,
Right.
and then they can earn a trophy just because you signed up for the team. It's just like if you go work for a company, you don't got to do your job well, you don't have to perform, you just show up and get paid. That ain't the real world.
Right. It's a generation of parents, including our age, whereas we have forgot about hard work and the payoff part of it. And I tell our boys, if you don't work, you don't eat. I mean, you going to the bank on Friday and you ain't putting nothing in on Monday.
You got nothing coming.
You'll get paid.
So, playing times, we have what we call MPR, which is mandatory. There's a mandatory play rule which you have to have depending on how many kids you have on your team. That's how many plays you get. Well, me personally, I tell our parents on day one, we have a rule. And which rules are made to be followed.
Right.
But if your kid is not performing, I can promise you, the only thing he's gonna do is he's gonna get his MPR, his mandatory play. You can be mad at me, but at the end of the day, if he's not doing what he's supposed to do, I can't reward that.
Yep. You got the end of the bargain.
I'm setting him up for failure.
Yep.
You know, he ain't gonna never learn to want to work because he's gonna be content if coach keep putting me in. I'm good. He's not doing anything. But the biggest thing, like with sports, what I got out of it is you gotta work, man. I mean, your best is not gonna be the best because there's somebody out there that's better. So when you think you're doing your best, you gotta even do your even better.
I agree, man. Like the mentality with these kids is like, and like you said, like growing up at Pineville and how we came up, it was different. But for you to even still have that same principle with these kids,
Yeah.
some of them may not get it because they come up in the era now where everything is almost tailor made for them.
Right. It's
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I have that same debate and with my boys because my boys is part of that era, whereas
right.
I'm breathing, so I deserve to get it. No, you don't. I mean, because at the end of the day, you gotta earn it.
The entitlement
Yeah.
again.
We were talking about
entitlement. All right, so how do you? Of course, you have to be. I think you gotta surround yourself with good people.
Got you.
Whenever you embarking on anything, me, you, Med, you gotta surround yourself with people and like-minded people. So how do you choose your coaches?
I choose, believe it or not, we do background checks. But I look at our background checks. If our coaches don't have any charges where they're, with kids.
Yeah, shit. Don't go back to them. You ain't messing with them children.
Yeah,
Everybody made a mistake before. As long as you around kids.
But I say it is, some coaches I got, some people won't take them. But the passion and the ministry part that I have in my life is, if I can just get that coach, that everybody if you be around me long enough, you're gonna change because the atmosphere is okay. Listen, man, wherever you at in your life, I've been there. Like we was raised. My grandma, we was raised on South Street with 4 families in the house. Like, you don't have to portray a role or image of being this thug or hard because deep down inside, I think everybody have good in them, man.
Yep.
Now, some people you just can't, they're just gonna be that person. But deep down inside, a grown man that really cares. Because if you sign up to coach youth sports, you know how much time that requires, how much energy that requires. If you sign up, you gotta have a heart, man, because that let me know that step right there is, if I want to give back to my community, come on, man, I got you. But as far as my coaches, man, when I tell you I have had some great coaches, right now we almost transitioning and building new coaches because most of our coaches right now is at the middle school because they don't went to the next. That makes me feel good because they at the next level and at the high school.
Yeah. So with that, talk about we another thing we talk about on Manless Free Game. Talk about accountability for the players, yourself, and your coaches.
Accountability.
It's accountability factor in all phases.
Right.
On all levels of what you're doing. You
gotta be accountable. Like that goes from you stepping on the field with your cleats being tied. That goes from the coaches, like they used to call me so like soft coach. You don't let us cook. You shouldn't want to cook, right? I mean,
respect.
Right,
grown people.
Like
I went there.
This is the mentality that we have. Like, the only way they can get tough is just cussing them out. Nah, kids don't heard that all day at home. So why don't you speak another language that you can get sent through them? Because if I just go at them and attack them, that ain't me being soft, but I'm just saying, hey man, listen, you're a better kid than what you're giving out. But if I go at them, you little blah 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 blah, they ain't hear that because they already don't heard that so much. Yeah, they used to that, so they're gonna tone that out. So just go to them with a calm voice, like, man, look, you got something in you.
Yeah. Because a lot of them just want to know that. A lot of them just want to know that you care.
Right. That's it. Yeah. Man, listen, that's big because you think about it. We was that kid, and for a grown man, a coach that you see as an image, say, you know what, son, I love you. Man, that's coach that told me love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's big.
Changing.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So what about talk about you got that part of it. Talk about because I know you got people working with you at the funeral home and it's nice as well. How do you pick those people?
My staff is mostly well, I ain't gonna say I pick because they'll come in and do we'll sit down and I really just talk with them, just try to feel them out. I like people that really cares, man.
Like people.
Yeah. My staff, I don't necessarily call it. They know that I'm the funeral director. They know I'm the owner, but I don't walk around muscling up, hey, I'm the boss. Because when you doing what's right, people gonna respect that either way it goes.
Say that again. That's deep.
My staff, I treat it literally like, I know it sounds crazy, but I treat it like sport. We're a team. Like,
right.
I can't do this without them. Yeah. They can't do that, and they know that. Like, we can have 3 services going on. I'm at one service and they have another service. I don't have to worry because they know the play. You know what I mean?
Train them up.
Yeah.
You set the example. So right. You make sure they straight even when you ain't looking.
Right.
You at a football game.
I have no worries, man. I literally.
That's the brand though.
Yeah.
That means your brand is straight. Yeah. The boss in the ride and it's still running like an old machine. That's the brand. So that's a testament of the work that you put in.
Yeah, especially when you produce opportunity for other people. Right. But you do it from a level of like how he's saying it. I don't think I'm better than nobody.
No.
Because I'm the owner, but I need you just like you need me. Right. Treat them as equal.
Yeah. I mean, when we walk in, the only way they'll know that is James Gatlin. Like, hey, that's James Gatlin. But other than that, we all look alike. We all do what we're supposed to do. Like, I just believe you ain't got to scream out on the owner. Like, that's just trying to throw you away. You know what I'm saying?
I got to give you flowers right here. Do you look at yourself? I'm showing from what I'm seeing, but I'm asking you. Do you look at yourself as a mentor to the people around you, people that work for you? Do you see yourself as somebody who also, to me, you somebody who also create opportunities for people that, cause there be people that we grew up with, people from the neighborhood. I see them around you, and I'm like, dang, don't offer this person, a coaching spot. Or offer this person a job, man.
It's a funny question, man. Like, because I don't see myself as people see me. Like, they'll come up and they'll try to change. They get all proper. And I'm like.
Yeah.
They don't know you're a clown.
Yeah. That's why sometimes they be like, James Gatlin. I be like, sometimes I don't know. I be like, don't. I'm not used to saying that because you know what I'm saying. But
I mean, I want people to feel comfortable because at the end of the day, we all got struggles. We all done been through something, but when we try to, if we can't help each other out, if we can't talk it through, you know what I mean? Like if I think I'm better than you, I can sit down and talk to the lows, and I can sit down and talk to the highs. At the end of the day, I'm gonna be me because I know what got me here, man. Like trusting the process and just believing and just staying who you are, man. You can't change for nobody.
So do you believe in telling your kids, like the kids you coach, like how far being humble will take them?
Listen, I can't even tell you how big that is. Humbleness is the greatest thing that ever can happen, because when you humble, people can feel that energy, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm big on energy. Like energy is so big.
Yeah.
I can't be in an environment where it's negative, you know what I mean? Like it has to be a positive. Like I try to be like, you know, I can't stand the cockiness.
Yeah.
Like if I get around and we having, you know, just boys, just we ain't gotta talk about no money, man. We gotta have a good time, man. We don't know when we're gonna get out of here, so let's have a good time, right?
Yeah.
So.
Coach Vic said PYC legends. Shout out to them running Warriors.
Yeah,
don't want to hear about that. I'm still.
We don't want to talk about that Coach Vic.
I'm still mad about that game and championship.
Talk about the Southside Jaguars.
I remember them Jags too.
I'm running Warriors. Shout out to Tim. He said he was in the building too on somebody.
PYC day.
Angela Ward said, I wasn't reading it. She said, if you are a coach, you have to have the heart for the children. You most definitely do, because you dedicate your time.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you what was really I admire about you though, man. Like, believe it or not, like playing ball with you and growing up. Like I remember, like even we played like Raiders games, y'all would win. I had a good game, but we lost. You know, most kids would pick, he'd shake your hand, like, good game, man. I be boiling 30 hot. Like, I don't want to hear that, man. They don't want it. But he was always the same dude, man. He was always humble though. On and off the
That's the key, man. I tell my son, like my youngest boy, he doing good. He doing well right now. But I said the key to your success is being humble.
Right.
Because you get up there, listen to the best. I don't see the best, and I don't also see some of the best fall. But you got to be humble. That's when people gonna appreciate you even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely.
So, what are the challenges you face juggling? I'm saying juggling because you're literally juggling. I don't care what you say. You can lie to me if you want to. Juggling from, because you full time in both. You full time Pop One coach and you full time owner. So, what are the challenges? Then you got a wife and kids. You got family. You got family life. So you only get 24 hours a day.
How you balance that?
I would say the biggest challenge is time management. Like I would literally look at my schedule and I say, because my work hours are just normal work hours is 9 to 5. I start practice at 6, from 6 to 7:45. Then if I have more things to do at the funeral, I go back and I work up until my eyes shut. 1 or 2. I'm a late sleeper unless I just doze off in between. But the biggest thing is time management, because I love being around those kids. I mean, just being around. Sometimes, right now, I coach our 10s, I coach our 11s, and I also, be honest with you, I don't coach the 6s. Whatever coach, if our coach can't come to practice, I'm coaching that team. Right. Not necessarily taking over, but I like to get to know. I can tell you every kid in our program, and we got 193 kids. So I think just talking with these kids, man, you'll be amazed. Like, these kids can teach you some things.
So how much sleep you get? Say the beat over there.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you
that. How much sleep you get? So I get enough. I get enough to live. Give me an estimate. 4, 5.
My sleeping pattern, I gotta sleep at 1 o'clock in the morning, wake up at 4.
I sleep home too, but we just cause I can't sleep. Yeah. I might go to sleep tonight around 3 something. Get up, take the kids to school around 7. And tomorrow at 2 hours sleep, about an hour before time.
When you sleep, you're losing time, man.
Yeah. You know you're gonna say something.
P. Diddy on that. P. Diddy. P. Diddy say sleeping is forbidden. All right, so talk about these. We ain't talk about your high school years. We'll talk about your high school years, and then watching your son as we speak. You know, as about Austin Wildcat. You know, Talk about that and what does that mean to you? And when you're a fan watching your son play, what type of feelings going through your body like to see him on that field?
Believe it or not, man, the feeling I get, I'm in a state of nervousness every time I watch my boy play because I'm like, well, they better not say nothing about my boys in this game. So, yeah. But going back to when I played, like I said, we were just surrounded with guys like Cedric Breen, Gerard Alford. I mean, I'll leave somebody name, but it didn't just start at the high school level. It started at Pineville. Like, we grew up literally
Coach Ed boy.
Right.
All great.
Yeah.
We was like real brothers, man. Like, I mean, we walked around the school, we was together. It was never a moment where it's like, I mean, their problems was my problem was their problems. So the high school days and playing at Austin High, I mean, it's none like it. Like, I know a lot of people, you know, outside of it, if you never played for the Cats, you really don't understand because I can't even tell you, give me chills even when I hear that, here come the Cat. I'm like, man, do I supposed to run out? Like, but
it stuck with you. It's like something stuck with you for life.
Yeah.
I knew it was serious when I moved here in '92. The Cats was about to win state. They won state that year. But I moved in '92. I started going to school. I met people like Don't, a couple other people, but man, I was tired with Don't. We used to have, seriously, we used to have career day, and I always tell the story. We used to have career day. You know, people want to be like a doctor, a lawyer, a firefighter. They call a kid, ask a kid what they want to be, man. Kids say, I want to be like Austin Wildcat. Right? I'm looking like, what? Listen, that's when I knew. That's when I knew football in the city of Austin, Georgia was serious. Right. These kids had dreams of putting on that black and gold from them being in elementary school. I'm talking about elementary school. Like, they wanted to be about Austin Wildcat. I was like, man, this shit serious.
It was like a NFL team. I remember where the old stadium used to sit, where we had the student section was in the end zone. Yeah. So I literally, like, I'm at 10, 11 years old. I was standing to that
on that gate.
And they say, here come the Cats. And I'm like, come here, let me just touch your pants. We just had white pants. But you get to touch the Cats, man, that thing feels good.
Yeah. Or you can walk by and pat them on the shoulder pad. Yeah. You have to walk by and be sitting on the bench.
You mess around and get lucky and get an autograph. You the man. Like, they throw you out of gloves or something. Oh, man.
So how did it feel touching the field for the first time? I'm thinking back from you touching the field, like, when you saying you come out of that tunnel. Here come the Cats and you run.
It's one of them feelings like you really just, like you just hear people just rock, just like, man, it just make you feel like you invisible. Like, I'm about to. I remember this. This was my junior year. It was 9/11, and we was playing Lincoln. Our game was scheduled for that Friday night.
Monday night football.
Yeah, but we had to play on Monday night. Here I am as I play. We call it flanker at the time, which is basically like a little slide. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I play offense, but we were so amped up for that game. We beat on the 10, and I'm playing offense, but my brain just immediately went and said, I'm finna kill somebody. But we were I'm telling you, man, like we was brainwashed.
I got another question, man. I just like, you know what I'm saying, like, with you being a Wildcat, do you remember your very last game as a Wildcat and how it felt?
Man, listen, I'm gonna answer that question with a before question, but the best thing they could ever did was tear down the Georgia Dome. The Georgia Dome that gave me nightmares for the rest of my life. But to go back to that question, my last game was in Park. We got beat by Parkview. Our senior year, we went 9-1 our regular season. Unfortunately, we did lose to the Vikings that senior year. But it just felt like at that time, because you got to remember, I started playing football at 5. So as an 18-year-old, and dang, it's my last.
Yeah, it hit you.
Yeah, it hit me like, man, listen, that weekend, like kids these days, they can get beat on Friday night and they be back out Saturday like nothing happened, man. We stayed in the house the whole weekend.
You don't want to hear nobody, man.
I don't want to see nobody.
Said the B said, man, that's some bull.
No, how you felt like just because that's how much it mean to you when you're a Wildcat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want it to be over.
Nah, you don't, man.
You
Listen,
don't want it to end.
I had dreams I was dreaming all the way up until I was 25. I wake up mad like, damn, boy, I wish I could.
All right, so what advice do you give your son that's graduated as far as moving forward in life, and then what advice do you give the son that's still on the field? I know they're watching you, because we talking about, I always revert back to our last episodes and what we talking about. We were talking about how you could be the example. You are the example. Mm-hmm. You got to give your children something to follow. You the leader. You know, you the leader of your household, leader of your family. You James Gatlin Sr., so you the leader of your family. So with your kids watching you, the oldest one, he's graduated already, he's going through his transition, and then you still got one that's currently still in high school playing football. What type of advice do you give them? What are those conversations like as you continue to raise your boys?
Yeah. The biggest thing I tell them, between me and my son that's playing now, like literally, we don't even talk about football in the house because I don't want to put pressure on them because I know what the pressure can do. So I tell them just make the right choice. Like everything in life is a big choice. You got a choice in everything you do. I'm like, that goes from hanging with the right people, being around right people. And then on Friday nights, just go out there and do what you're supposed to do. If coach don't prepare you all week long, you ain't got no reason to be nervous. I mean,
right.
The biggest thing is just do your job. So I used to, like I said, in my immature young days with my boys in sports, I used to talk about football. Everything, son, you didn't do this right at practice, but now I just got to the point where dragging. Like it was hard, it was bad. Tay was like, leave the boys alone. But now I just make cause it's a thinking game, man. Like you just make the right choice. Like
that kind of that tough fatherhood when it comes to the sport, that kind of put a strain on your relationship somewhat.
I would say James was like, I'm telling you, James used to get busy. Like anybody that coached with me, when James, they'll tell you like, I ain't played radio with James. I can remember one time we was on the James was playing baseball, and I was his coach for baseball, and he wasn't throwing strikes. So I went on the mound. He about 8 years old, 9 years old, somewhere in that area. But I went on the mound, I was like, man, what you doing? And these good words I'm using right now.
Yeah,
but then he tried to buck or do something like this, and man, I said, boy, I knock you on the line. Oh no! But I remember even at 6 years old, with James, he was at the Boys and Girls Club because he started his playing football at the Boys and Girls Club, and he wasn't getting in or something like that. But he told my brother-in-law, which is Little Tony Harrington, he told him, my daddy suck as a coach. So I said, man, this gonna be a long journey.
All right, man, what you got?
I'm gonna just ask you one more question, man. All right, when you like the memories of you playing and hearing your name like being called over, how did it make you feel when you hear your son, like when they call your son name or they compare your son name? Like, man, how did that make you feel?
I hate it. No, seriously, I hate it. Because I don't want to get him caught. Because every time I want them to create their own legacy, man.
Right.
And the worst thing I think kids can ever do to try to follow in the footsteps of someone else. Right. And it falls back making the right choice. Like when I see people, say, "Yo, boy, he look just." I'm glad he do, but I want him to be better than me because I did good, but I didn't do great because it was some things I was distractions in high school that, it was natural talent, but for working hard in the weight room, man, we cheated reps just to get through, but the small things that, that when you think about it, if I would have did this, if I would have did that, if I would have did this and I would have did that. Right. So I just want to really them create their own legacy. Like one thing I do tell them, I say, man, listen, you're going to be small. Your daddy's small, your mama's small. Yeah. But listen, one thing God created was a heart. Like
Yeah.
you can't measure that, so you got to go in like because right now somebody looking, they gonna automatically like, oh, he's small, okay, that's what I want you to think.
Yeah.
So, but I just want to create your own legacy, man.
Respect that.
Before we let you get up out of here, talk about last weekend in that dance move you did. Like I wouldn't know. Somebody told me to ask you about this TIM in here, but he told me he don't clown me about I got my high school Playboy on there. You came behind me with the shopper, with the bang. Talk about that move and who taught you that, don't?
Oh no, they don't know about the late night parties. They don't know about the late night parties. Tyson was the Playboy, but see, all the practice booze, all the booze they used to do, man, I'm in the background like hit you, all that crap.
This is the funny part of the end of the show. Talk about those team parties you used to have. Boy, you used to have some of the hardest team parties ever. I'm talking about in Woodgate. I'm talking about Woodgate. From Woodgate to Fairgrounds to whatever. Talk about some of them team parties don't used to have.
It wasn't that like them team parties. Like team parties. My mama like after the games because you got to think like. In my family, we had we was freshmen, but my cousin Carlos Gatlin and Fred Stewart, they were dogs on that '98 state championship team, and then we had Craig as a junior. So every time we would win, we would have a party, and that tradition just carried on after every Friday night. It was good, clean parties too, but.
They don't really exist nowadays. These kids, we used to have fun. We used to go and chase some girls.
Yeah. That was the main thing.
We trying to dance on the slow dance. So nowadays, they don't even be wanting to have a party.
All they care about is phone in their hand.
Man, they tripping. We used to have, back then, we used to have some of the funnest times. Even at Pineville used to have little parties sometimes.
We had my son, like he have a little kickback. I went out there to let me see what they got going on. I look around, all the dudes sitting over here and all the girls. I was like, man, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all texting and you got girls like that don't make sense to me. But they just a different generation, man. Like they friend girl or whatever, they can literally be in that corner over there and they texting each other back and forth instead of communicating. I'm like, y'all different. I don't know.
Get another one in.
Say the beat. Say the beat.
What he said?
He put Pinocchio nose up.
Shout out to everybody tuning in on the live.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to everybody showing listen free game and support.
Yeah.
Shout out to Don't.
I want y'all to say how to play football, man. I heard when he first came to them jobs.
His brothers taught him how to play sports.
See, him and Travis Steven, they was a Smurf. He called it, they was a Smurf. They was, believe it or not, said it was shorter than me, him and Travis Steven.
I know. I grew up with y'all. I don't know how it came from.
Say something. No, you finna say something.
Well, yeah. Say it.
Say it, no, we used to get him right at practice.
You scared, say it. Say it, say, you don't try to say it, better try Jesus. Don't try to say it, that's what he would say. But man, listen, this was an episode. I appreciate you for coming.
We definitely appreciate you. For real.
Keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you. Said big cap. Keep coaching them Titans up.
Yes, keep doing what you're doing.
Keep Lil Joe going strong. Wildcats. Keep doing what you're doing. Last question I did want to ask you. Do you ever see yourself coaching a little while?
I was saving that question. He beat me.
Was that one of your ambitions or one of your goals or no? Or you good? You ever? I'm gonna ask you this: if the opportunity presented itself, would you take on that challenge? Would you take advantage?
That's a tough one. Because, like I said, I actually coached high grade football about 3 years ago. Right. But I think my ministry is in youth sports. Because, how could I put it? Like, I believe if we can touch them early, it becomes easier when they get in the high school level. But to answer that, if the time is right, if everything falls to pieces, like God has a way of doing things, I would, if right now I do have a bachelor's in education, so it's just at the time, and right now I just don't have the time.
You talking about say hell no.
I say the beach.
You right, man. Coaching high school sports, man, it requires a lot of time. When I tell you those coaches put some work in, right, they put work in.
So you just want to set the foundation and see them.
Right.
Kind of like, Coach Eric did with y'all.
Yeah.
He'll set the foundation and y'all.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know. As a varsity coach, man, when I tell you, like, the time and the pressure that's put on those coaches that we sometimes as a fan we don't see it, man. Like those guys really put in. We see the Friday night glory, but the time they put in, like, I don't know, it takes a special person. And I think coaching youth sports is good, but on that varsity level, when you got to deal with people that don't understand what the process is, and they just see the ball being thrown, like, why he didn't catch it? Not understanding it takes a lot of coordination skills to catch a ball. When you running the 440 and you running full speed, you got to get your hands up, your timing. All of that plays a very important role. But it takes a lot.
All right, before I let you go, how do you sign up for these women and men or these kids upcoming? They want to sign them up for football. How do you sign up for Tylertown Titans? I know Med said he got his son probably coming next year. Tell the people how to sign up.
Right now we're at the final part of our season where we're about to enter the playoffs. So our sign up registration don't start until January 1st, and they can register at www.TitletownTitans.com. We pretty much, our numbers are growing each year where we went to a single age division. So really, after the max of cutoff kids, we can't take any kids once that max hits. So we really encourage, because we get started early. Like, we try to get kids out there in March or April. So once the August season do hit, they pretty much don't hit a full season of conditioning and working out. So www.TitletownTitans.com. And the registration will open back up as of January 1st.
All right. And then there's one last thing before I get out of here on a serious note. Since you blessed us coming on, I would like to help with, because my former boss used to, he's a coach out there in Mississippi. He was telling me about some of the issues you run into, parents with multiple kids in the household, and how sometimes they wouldn't come out due to the funds.
Right.
I want to get into, like, we can help you raise money or help sponsorships for some of these good kids, so they won't get in trouble. That they want to play sports, but their parents probably can't afford it because, there's multiple kids in the house. Like me, I grew up with like 4 brothers. That's myself in the household, so it was a lot of us. So right now, if we want for Pineville, I don't know if I'd have been playing, so I would like, you could come on, you could use this platform where you're doing your fundraising, whatever type of events, if you want to get a word out, man, listen, we welcome you anytime. We want to give back that support, but I would like to, we could talk about it. I would like to get involved with it.
Okay.
It's kind of helping,
I don't know as far as timing wise, if we can get some kids to come in, and just because at the end of the day, I know people can see my face, but they want to hear this. These young guys, like, when I tell you they put in work, and we work them, like,
I can tell, man, like,
we really put in work, and they understand. I did today we had 2 games, but they don't know the challenge. I do weird stuff just to see the IQ of our kids, but I asked our 8-year-old kids to go mark the field for me, whereas put the down markers down. Right. Do you not know that those kids put those markers down? Even adults, when you making that comment, they don't even know what that is. But like the 10, the 20, they don't. Yeah. I say this, like, if I ask my wife to go put the down mark on the 20, she is doing that. But to see an 8-year-old understand what the placement, where down markers go and pylons, like, those kids put in some work.
So they really studied the game.
Right.
Yeah, once again, it was a great episode. Like,
most definitely,
we just now scratching the surface, building this thing from the ground up, like Don't did. Like he said, we just said trust the process.
Yeah.
We got an example of the process right here, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you for coming through, love you, cuz.
Love you too, man.
Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Definitely respect what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Y'all holler back at your boy.